Well, I can tell you what's been going on for anybody like myself, an insurance broker. I work with specifically health insurance for individuals and families and also Medicare. And there was kind of a converging of enrollment periods. So Medicare beneficiaries every year in the fall, from October 1st through December 7th, they have to review what they've got and decide if they want to stay or make a change, and we've dealt with that for many years. But now with Obamacare, what happens is almost the exact same time frame. So this year it started on November 15th. Individual health clients also have to review what they've got as far as insurance plans, review the price increases if there are. Maybe there was a price decrease this year. Review the plans, the networks, and decide, is this really what I want for the following year? Because we only have a finite period where people can review what they have and enroll, change plans. And so I've been in the middle of that. So yeah, I've been telling all my friends and family I've kind of been, you know, sequestered away for 3 months. And finally, when I got to January, I feel like I'm rejoining the land of the living. Because we're still in the middle of an enrollment cycle, but it's not as intense as it had been for the end of the year.
Okay, so when does it end?
So this current open enrollment cycle started November 15th, and it will officially close on February 15th. So if you don't have insurance yet and you want to buy it, you have to get your enrollment done by February 15th. If you have a plan, but you're not happy with it, or you're not happy with the price, and you want to change, if it's either within that same carrier or to a different carrier, has to be done by February 15th. If you don't have it done by that date, you're locked into whatever plan you have, or if you didn't buy one, you don't have a plan. And the only other people who will be able to make any changes outside of that date is if you have a qualifying event. So that could be somebody who has group coverage through an employer, and maybe they lose it, or they're on a COBRA plan, and the COBRA comes to an end. Maybe they move, or they get married, they get divorced, they have a child. So there's some qualifying events that would allow somebody an open enrollment, a special open enrollment. But other than that, if you don't have everything done by February 15th, you're locked out until the next cycle.
Is this Obamacare, or is there?
It's part of the law. It's taking what we were used to is having an enrollment year-round. People could buy a plan anytime they wanted.
So even if we're not in Obamacare, we have our own insurance, and I don't know how many of those are left. I know mine is grandfathered in for the rest of this year, I guess.
Right.
But so even something like that, even a private insurance, they can't let you outside of that time period?
Right. So so there are still people that have what you refer to as a grandfather plan. Those are plans that were in effect when the law was passed back in 2010 and didn't take on any material changes. So they only took on what they had to, so they were able to stay as is. There are some carriers that are still offering those plans, but they're pretty far and few between. Then there were plans that were modified after 2010.
Yeah, wait, even still now you can still get them?
You can't buy them. If you have a grandfathered plan and the carrier's allowed you to keep it, you can keep it, but nobody else can go buy that plan.
Okay.
So that's been...
So it's few and far between, so I'm really pretty lucky then.
Yeah, so certain carriers have continued to keep those. Then you have plans that were modified for 2010 to fit the law at that time, but there were additional changes that came into effect in 2014. So there were carriers here in Oregon, we were allowed to keep those plans going. Now, for a lack of a better term, they came up with grandmothered plans. So these are plans that did adapt the laws as of 2010, but hadn't adapted the additional laws for 2014. So the state of Oregon legislature has allowed carriers to extend those plans through 2015, although many carriers abandoned them at the end of 2014. So there's, again, a handful of carriers that have kept those grandmothered plans, far and few between. You can't go buy it on the market because you either had it and you kept it, or you know that's just not an open plan for you. So what we've been dealing with this year, of course, is anything that's, if you're buying it or changing your existing plan, walking away from what you have, you're buying a fully compliant ACA plan.
Is it technically, I've always had a hard time understanding this exactly. Is it Obamacare, or is it just compliant with Obamacare?
Right, so that's really confusing. I mean, the law is the Affordable Health Care Patient Protection. It gets called a lot of different things.
The non-affordable? Can I call it the non-affordable?
Yeah, I call it the non-affordable. But it's nicknamed the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. Again, kind of an oxymoron. Many people, of course, call it Obamacare. Even Obama called it Obamacare. The reality is, Pretty much, unless you've kept some old, again, grandfather plan, we're all being affected in some capacity by that law. So however you want to name it, all plans being sold on the open market now in the individual and small group market are going to be within the Affordable Care Act guidelines. So it is, for all purpose sakes, Obamacare. Now, there's different ways to look at that. You can go buy a plan that's now been modified to fit all the new laws and regulations directly from a carrier, or you can choose to go through the now federal exchange, because of course here in Oregon, we attempted a state exchange with Cover Oregon and it failed. So now anybody looking to get a tax credit or subsidy to assist them with their premium has to go through the federal exchange. And that's a whole, you're buying really the same plans, but you're just going through a corridor to go through the federal government to see if you can get financial assistance. The software that we had been attempting to purchase from Oracle that they were creating for us, it didn't work. Everybody's going to argue about who's at fault for that. There's a court case going on right now. Both sides are suing each other, the state of Oregon and Oracle. So you can talk all day about that. But the reality is the Oregon Health Plan, the software that was created for them didn't work. So they're abandoning that software and they're going to use Kentucky's. And then as far as the actual enrollment for marketplace plans, so non-Medicaid, that didn't work either, which is why we're now using the federal website. Now the federal website seems to work a little better.
So we have federal, we have Oregon.
Well, there's the Oregon Health Plan for Medicaid. So that software, when we were working with Oracle, when Cover Oregon was engaging Oracle, they wanted to do two things. They wanted to, the job was to create a software and a website where somebody could just, enroll to see if they qualify for a subsidy, find a health plan and enroll. Oregon wanted to take it a step further and also qualify people for Medicaid and food stamps at the same time. That's probably where they got into a bit of trouble. Because if you've got to do something brand new, especially a website, you usually want to start small with your specific goal. And then once you get that dialed in, then you can add in all the bells and whistles. But we tried to do the whole enchilada first, and then it didn't work out.
So there's the federal, there's Oregon Health Plan, there's Oregon Gov, and then there's no, there's nothing private out there that you can actually get that you can do private.
So the way it works, because Cover Oregon failed, the first thing that you'll do right now, if you think, I might be qualified for Medicaid, which is low income assistance, or I might be qualified for financial assistance to help me with my premium to buying a plan. If that's your situation, you would go to healthcare.gov, put in information about your family size, ages, income for this year, and it'll tell you if you either A, qualify for Medicaid, which means that you're not paying anything monthly for your coverage, you don't pay anything for services. That is for people at or below the poverty limit. If you're not Medicaid, then the computer may come back and say, well, given your family size and your income, it looks like you may qualify for a tax credit, which is literally federal dollars that will help you purchase your health plan. So not everybody qualifies, of course, it's based upon your income, but that is the only place that you can get that assistance.
Is it fairly expensive?
Health insurance?
I mean, do you actually get money back? You get medical insurance, and then you actually get money back.
Well, actually what happens is if you decide to take that tax credit on a monthly basis, the healthcare.gov will tell the insurance carrier that you enrolled in their plan. And let's say the plan costs $500. That's the total premium. But your portion after your tax credit is $200. So you're going to get billed every month for $200. The federal government is then going to pay that insurance carrier $300. So collectively, they're going to get their full $500. That's if you qualify for a subsidy. But again, the only place that you can get that is if you're going through the federal exchange. Now, if you come to me and say, Lisa, I want to buy insurance, I'm going to probably ask you some questions about your income and your family size. Because if you don't fit within the parameters of qualifying for a subsidy, I'm not going to encourage you to go through the federal website. Why would you want to give your financial and private data away when you're not going to get a subsidy back? So if that's the case...
So it's safer,
well, I mean,
privacy-wise, if you don't do that.
Some people feel that it might be. I mean, some people are not comfortable telling a federal website their family dynamics, their income, giving access to looking at their tax returns, because that's what's happening there. When you go through the federal website, they have access then to your tax returns, They check out, the Medicaid system to see if you're qualified for that. They check your immigration status to see if you're a legal resident. If they can't figure everything out, but what they're checking behind the scenes, they'll ask you to prove some additional documents. So if you want to avoid that, or you don't think you're even going to be eligible for a subsidy, so why go through all that, you can absolutely buy a plan directly from the carrier.
Okay, I hate the idea of the government taking away our privacy like this. However, don't they have all the information anyway because we pay taxes? What's the difference between us paying taxes and the IRS having it and what they're doing?
Right. So what you're doing, though, when you're qualifying for a subsidy is you're saying, here's my estimated income for the next year. Here's who I think is going to be living in my household for my tax return. Here's what I think I'm going to make. So based upon that, you may qualify for a tax credit, which would help you purchase your insurance premium every month. At the end of the year, there's going to be a true-up. So let's say that you told the federal healthcare.gov system that you think you're going to make $30,000. And you, based upon your family size and your age, you qualified for a tax credit. And let's just say, for sake of argument tonight, that it's $100 a month to help you with your premium. Great. So you took $100 a month from the federal government. They helped you every month. Now, at the end of the year, let's say you actually made $35,000. Well, that's going to shift how much you should have received in tax credit. So you either should have gotten less, or maybe in some cases none at all. Depends on how the formula comes out. So at the end of the year, when you go to file your taxes, you're going to have to true that up. So if you got tax credits from the federal government that in fact you shouldn't have gotten because you ended up making more than you thought you were going to make, you're going to have to pay that back. So here's what's interesting. So the first year we saw this happening was 2014. Actually this week, Cover Oregon will be sending out, no later than Friday or Saturday, forms to every single person who enrolled on Cover Oregon for the 2014 year. And that form is a 1095, and it's going to say a couple of things. It's going to first say, the plan that you've been on this year, here's the full price. Here's what the premium would have been for the entire time you were on it. Here is the price of the second lowest price silver plan in your area. It's just a plan that they use as a benchmark. And the third column is, here's how much we gave you in tax credits already. You have to take that form and then use that to file your taxes. So anybody who has historically said, hey, I just use the 1040 easy, right? My income, my taxes, I'm done, and I submit it really quick. You're not going to be able to do that. You can't use the 1040 easy if you in fact went through the exchange and enrolled, because you've got this form now and the IRS is expecting you to reconcile that. So you're going to have to use the long form. You can't just file a quick form to do your taxes. So
now a lot of people are going to get in trouble. They're going to have to hire an accountant to help them.
Something's going to have to give. Yeah, I mean,
and here we're wanting to get a little credit, and if you call it a credit,
right,
it's still expense out that you had to pay that you might not have had to pay. Anyway.
Well, not only that, but where did those credits come from? Our tax dollars.
Yeah.
Everybody paying federal taxes is where this money is coming from.
Big government, bad
Big government.
news. There aren't too many outlets where you can hear in-depth spiritual issues alongside conservative politics, where we can make a difference to those around us and our country. It's brought to you at a cost that's worthwhile, yet I'd like to do more. On 11thhourpolitics.com, you can buy books and videos that will advance this cause. There's delicious chanterelle tea containing vitamin D, proven to dispel depression. We have an art gallery and options to produce your own commercial or have us do it for you, along with other projects. It's only through a co-op that things get accomplished. I hope you will join me in this mission.
I just started taking colloidal silver this winter regularly. My energy level is better than it has been in years. My typical winter cold was minimal, lasting 2 days instead of evolving into bronchitis as my colds have been prone to do.